Cassar. Welcome back to another episode of the Just As Planned Weddings podcast show, where we bring you expert insights from the world of weddings. I'm your host, as always, Nathan Cassar, and today we have a guest who is making waves in the wedding industry. Meet Carla Davern, one of Sydney's most loved marriage celebrants, and now a highly sought after MC as well. Carla is known for her bubbly personality and ability to keep things running smoothly, ensuring that every guest is entertained from start to finish and that every moment is pure magic. With years of professional experience as a singer and a performer, she knows how to captivate a crowd and make each wedding truly unforgettable. Carla's dedication to her craft recently earned her a spot on the list of the top 10 most popular celebrants in Sydney by Easy Weddings. She also doubles as an MC, seamlessly integrating her entertaining skills into the wedding reception, ensuring it's a celebration that everyone will remember. But don't let her sunny disposition fool you. Carla is no stranger to handling unexpected situations, whether it's a groom having an allergic reaction to lipstick, guests fainting, or her falling downstairs moments before a wedding, but still delivering the ceremony in style. Carla handles everything with grace, humor, and heart. She's a celebrant who will make sure the show goes on no matter what. In today's episode, Carla will be sharing her experiences of being a celebrant and an MC, from funny behind-the-scenes moments to tips on how to keep things flowing smoothly on your big day. We'll talk about how to choose the perfect celebrant, why an MC celebrant is a game changer, and how you can ensure your wedding is a fun and unforgettable celebration. Carla, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. What a beautiful introduction.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anymore, do I? That was really lovely. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, look, I'm very honored to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
No, it's great to have you. And I know that we haven't worked together in a while, but we do socially catch up at all the different awards nights and social gatherings and everything else like that.
Yeah,
and we just bumped into each other recently, which was fantastic. So it's really nice to see you. And of course, I know that you've been in this industry longer than I have, and you've really sort of cemented yourself as someone that everyone knows about and everyone respects and trusts. So, tell me, this journey started. How many years for you? You've been in the game?
I've been a celebrant now for 17 years. Yeah, a long time. Maybe even 18. The reason that I became a celebrant was because the time when I was getting married, which was 18 years ago, I actually couldn't find one that was very suitable for me. The celebrants were a lot more stoic back in those days. They were a lot more sort of about the business, and whereas obviously it's become like a flamboyant, exciting day, and a lot more fun and personality is brought into the occasion. So for me, finding someone was quite difficult. I did find a lady, and then afterwards I thought to myself, because I was a professional singer my whole life, I thought that was really something that I felt I could put some energy into. So I then started thinking about how I could do it, and a new sort of career change. But back in those days, you had to wait 2 years to be on the list as a celebrant. So it was actually government appointed. So it was, you had to actually sort of like submit and be a, person of well, standing in the community and all this sort of stuff. And then you just wait for someone to die or drop off the list.
It's wild how it's changed. I mean, now we're looking down the barrel of over 10,000 registered civil celebrants in Australia. I think that's just absolutely incredible, given the fact that you were there as one of the sort of the pioneers in the industry, and then you've been through so many different changes in the Marriage Act to all the little intricacies and minute changes that the government's brought along the way. But also, as you rightly point out, the fact that there is a big shift away, and don't get me wrong, these celebrants still get booked and there's still a market for it, but there's a shift away from what I call the big folder celebrants to people like yourself who are offering sort of energetic, personable approaches that the first question you say is, okay, couple, who are you and how do you like to be represented in the day? And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do, actually. I always say to my couples that I'm just the oracle. I'm going to bring forward your story, your love, and I want to present myself in a light that you're proud of. So, you go to a ceremony and some people sit there and they're almost asleep, it's just so dull.
True.
And some you go to and people are like, they're trying to be a comedian, they're getting around. And I think that there's definitely a balance in the middle there of class and also fun and warmth and love, and just sort of like presenting the couple a ceremony that is not going to make them feel awkward, and sometimes you feel a bit cringy when you go somewhere. So I sort of delve into their personalities and hopefully present something that they're really sort of proud of and makes them feel excited about what's going to happen on their day.
Well, as I say to a lot of people, there's a wedding for everybody in the sense that, every vendor who thinks, oh, I'm going to get the bookings and all kinds of stuff. It's like there's a wedding for everyone. At the end of the day, certain couples.
No, that's right.
Absolutely.
It's
and certainly. Oh,
sorry.
No, it's certain that there's some couples who really do want that, as you described, that sort of that showman-esque sort of flavor to their weddings, and there's certainly some very fringe ideas that I've heard of, some scant clothing and cosplays and all this
too.
And that's fine. Like, for me, I love that there's variety, and I think that it's fantastic because at the end of the day, the only thing that is obviously really, really important is that the professionalism amongst the paperwork, getting the words said correctly, and making sure that the marriage act is followed to a T means that there's no legal dramas down at the end of the line, and that our couples can be, on their merry way, knowing that they've had the day that they really deserve. And it's interesting because you represent also now, I guess you've been through this journey over 18 years and you have evolved your business, I would assume, over the course of that time now to include the latest trend, which is the celebrant / MC. And so you wear these two hats on the day, and it's obviously I'm the first person to say that these roles are radically different. So, but you're the guest, not me. So I'd love for you to tell the audience sort of what the difference is between these two roles and why couples should consider booking someone who can do both.
Yeah, good question, Nathan. Good question. I feel that if you are a person who is good with speaking to the public and feeling comfortable, that you can definitely transition from, formal into fun, like, quite easily. And what I do like about it, and I wasn't going to do it, but I started doing it a couple of years ago, and I really love it because I get to know them during the ceremony. I know all the people that have come, the guests and everything. So they sort of feel like they kind of know me. So rather than just a person coming in and just doing emceeing, which is great too. And I feel, because I think that there's the MCs are really great MCs because that's what they focus on. The MC celebrant is wonderful, but they aren't, quite as organized, I don't think, as an MC. But I think the advantage is the progression of knowing that person through the state of the day and the night. And I sort of, by the end of the night, when I'm doing a reception, everybody knows who I am. We've just, they'll listen, one of the guests almost, and I have a lot of fun with them then, so it's definitely a transition, but it's also a fun transition.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not wrong about that. There is definitely that continuity which couples are, very interested in. And certainly look at I think it goes without saying that a lot of couples go, you know what, if we've already got one service from you, if you can do the other one, sure, just carry on. But you're not wrong in the sense also that, look, this might sound biased, but at the end of the day, you're not incorrect in saying that obviously when you do get a specialized MC like myself, there is the emphasis on specialization, but at the same time, no, look, what I love is that, again, it goes back to that same sense of choice that I mentioned before, is that if a couple isn't as concerned as specifically having a reception that is focused on the entertainment of the guests, and someone that is, if it is more just an emphasis of, we just really need some announcements to be made and things that just feel like it's, whatever.
Vibe it up a bit, that's what they need.
Sure. Then, there's like, again, as I say, there's a wedding for everybody. So
Yeah. And
And
I feel
was
like
that transition hard for you? I must ask, because
no, not at all. Not at all.
okay,
So easy. Although I do have, I must admit, I do have some beautiful celebrant friends who MC who did help me with that transition, because
oh
they
great,
said, okay, this is what happens at a wedding. Because really, like, I don't know, even though I'm an entertainer, I don't know I didn't know the formalities of how it all worked. And now then you get a sort of like, you get I guess a kind of rhythm going, and you know what you're doing after a while. But at first it's like a bit, oh God, have I got to introduce you now? Or what do I do now? So you want it to flow for them. And also the timing with the venues is very important, with the food and stuff like that, which you don't sort of think about when you're planning your wedding. But I mean, if they're bringing out entrees at 6 o'clock and you're still introducing the bride and groom, well, that's not going to work, is it? So you've got to get it all so that it flows beautifully. And it is a timing issue with the venue, I think, so that they appreciate you as well, so you sort of ebb and flow with the whole thing. But no, I had a little bit of help. But being a professional singer all of my life, it's very natural for me to perform at these things and just make them okay, Yeah.
If they've ever got a live band, do you jump up and do a couple of songs?
No, but someone said to me the other day, I do have a duo. I sound like a real jack of all trades, but I have a wedding duo
Oh
called
wow,
Sydney Wedding Music Duo. We've just started, and we've got our own Instagram, and we've done about 3 or 4 jobs, and we do wedding music just for the ceremony. I really love doing that. That's my soul, but unfortunately a lot of weddings don't have the budget for live music, which is a shame. It'd be really nice to sort of like be able to marry them and then sing for them. I'd just love it, and maybe even in the future I'm thinking I might do a special song at a reception for them or something like that, just as a dedication to them. But it's all just whatever you feel like, I guess. Some people go on that.
No. It's great to always have different things up your sleeve,
Something
right?
up
I
your
mean, look,
sleeve. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I can't say that I'm a singer, but I certainly, for me, I mean, I'm a classically trained pianist, but I don't do that professionally.
Oh, nice.
But I do have all my cruise director tricks up my sleeve. So obviously, as you know, like I love to offer a lot of those games and activities and so forth. So at the end of the day, it's just about finding somebody like yourself or I or anybody else in this world who's able to adapt to different
Yeah, but
circumstances.
you've really got the whisper, I call it. Like you got that jazz, like
Well,
it's just
it's just about finding opportunities where an event can really shine by just being a little bit
yeah,
more flexible and adaptable.
yeah,
And
yeah.
speaking of flexibility, adaptability, handling unexpected circumstances, and keeping things flowing, you've dealt with, I'm sure, over the last 18 years, an incredible mix of different elements of wedding chaos, from I think from
Oh
allergic
gosh, yeah.
reactions to fainting
Oh,
guests. Can you sort of
unbelievable.
I would love to know some of the funny stuff that you've seen, though. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, some of those sound a bit drastic, but
I
certainly some
I
of the
know
funny
they're
stuff.
all funny. They've all turned out okay. So it's not
Okay,
like
good,
a horror
good,
story
good.
about people that have, had a really bad time. In the end, it was all right. But the one you spoke of with the reaction, that was so out of left field. I can't tell you. Like, he was this healthy, strong guy, and we were down at Manly at a venue, and it was all going great, and the wedding went well. And then I said, okay, let's have the kiss. So we kissed. And
Mm.
I said, no, come on, we need another one. It wasn't long enough. So we kissed again. And then we walked over to sign, and he was
Mm.
all woozy. And I said, are you all right? And I looked at him, and his lips had swollen up like this. And I said,
No.
what's wrong? And he goes, after COVID, he said, I became like allergic to everything. And the bride had put on lipstick. She never wears lipstick. And she'd worn lipstick, and the lipstick was what gave him the allergic
Wow.
reaction. So he's very, very sick, and he had to put the pen on the EpiPen thing, and they had to get
Yeah.
an ambulance. He was okay. He stayed for the reception, but he just was all propped up, but all I kept saying was, just sign here.
Yeah.
And then you could go, then you could lie down, just sign the paperwork. So that was kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
it's fine. I rang the next day, and she said, oh no, he was fine. He was very embarrassed. I said, oh gosh, he shouldn't be embarrassed. So that's a really funny thing's happened. I've had people faint right in front of me, like they're sort of walking to get out, and they just fall down. So it's all a bit live, isn't it? Doing what we do.
Oh, absolutely. And how
You
do
know?
you handle it? I mean, obviously, apart from obviously taking care of them and, tending to their needs and so forth, how do you, because I remember also there's two people, and there's obviously the person who's involved, the person that's immediately next to them, and then there's, of course, all this gabble of guests who are going, what's going on? What's your strategy, and how do you sort of see that moment as an opportunity to make sure that everything smoothly transitions, but at the same
Yeah,
time that
good
it doesn't
from the
look like you're being
dance.
dismissive of anybody?
Yes, you can't. Like I had a lady. We had a huge wedding. It was at a big venue, and they were there, and sort of halfway through the night, this woman had fainted, and
Oh,
they
gee.
called an ambulance in, and everyone was gathering around, and I kind of didn't want to play up to because the bride was dancing and having a great time. The bride and groom and the party had started, and this kind of pulled it all down to this really morbid, kind of awful thing. I
Yeah.
thought, well, we can't kind of focus on that and say, so I kind of just made sure that was all happening on the side. Someone had organised names and whatever, and then I kind of took the attention away and back to the dance floor, because the bride was saying, my night, my party, and at the end of the day, we found out the woman was fine. She was just heat thing, so it wasn't anything serious. So I sort of dragged everyone back to the dance floor and said, come on, look, let's get the party started. The lady's great, she's fine. And we just carried on.
Well, it's a great strategy that you did, and it's definitely exactly what I would have done as well. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
masterclass in making sure, because there's nothing worse than when you have like 100 people surrounding a person. I mean, that's basic first aid, is actually get rid of
Yes,
anybody who's
that's
not
exactly
useful to
right.
the
Yeah,
situation. But
that's
but
right.
generally for as you say, the vibe of the event, that's we've got to prioritize. Absolutely. I mean, that's a classic masterclass in how to
It
approach it. So
really,
well
really
done.
was. It really was. And it was definitely just thinking on my feet, thinking, okay, what's the right balance here? Is it just shoving the woman in the back room and forgetting about her? Or is it like, so I just sort of made sure she had attendants that were looking
Yeah.
after her, and I dragged everyone back. So that was a crazy night too. Yeah, it does happen. It just happens right when you're not expecting it the most. I
No,
was packing my
absolutely.
bag and I was heading out the door, and it was like, okay, put the bag down. I got to get back in.
I'll take care of it. I'm coming.
Yeah,
I'm coming.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I mean, I love talking about it afterwards. It makes me laugh. Some of the things that happen are just so funny. Like I do wedding furniture supply with my daughter. We have packages. She has Lovesick Weddings, which is a
Oh,
beautiful,
there you go.
beautiful, affordable little company that people love, and I'm very proud of her. And she does the chairs and the flowers and the da da da. So sometimes we do like a one-stop shop package where I'm with her as well. But her story is 1,000 times worse than mine. What happens with hers? Because
Oh, gee.
obviously, like I think last week they had a circle arch they were taking in, and the truck ran over it in the car park, and they had to kind of like suddenly make some makeshift sort of thing. And so it is very much thinking on your feet, our business, isn't it?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And it is definitely, that only comes with experience. I mean, at the end of the day, when couples I meet a lot of them who say to me, we are concerned about those what ifs. Like, it is a genuine concern for us. And you can
Yeah,
say it'll be fine 100 times, but they would say, no, 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 we are still not convinced. We've not been on the day. We don't know. So therefore the
that's
what ifs
right.
are going to carry
Yeah,
through. So it is about being the only remedy to that is experience, because
that's
otherwise there's
why it's
nothing
good
else
to
to place faith
get
in.
an experienced celebrant or experienced MC. Get that. Don't go for the newbies, even though they might be cheaper or whatever you think. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. The whole day can collapse if you haven't got someone there to take care of all of these little issues that pop up, and they will pop up. So
Mm. And I mean,
that's
look,
what.
we all start somewhere, of course, but I think
Yeah,
I think the point we're trying to make is simply that, if those what ifs are
are
extremely
a
playing on
problem.
your mind, and you've got a big wedding, as you described, that 200 plus wedding where you had lots of different moving parts, if those are what you're dealing with, and that's the kind of event that you're creating, yes, then it should be a no-brainer that an experienced person, as opposed to someone who is newer, is probably going to be your best bet compared
Yeah,
to any
yeah.
other option. But
I think so. I think
I
so.
want to talk about something fun. Obviously, there was some funny stories there, but certainly just more wholesome stuff where everything goes right. And you're sort of that maestro of the energy and excitement
Mm.
for both your celebrant work and your MC work. First question is, what should people be looking for generally? I mean, beyond experience, that sort of is a given. But then secondly, you bring a lot of energy to both roles. What is your sort of signature sort of move when it comes
Oh, I
to
can't
both
help
of those
myself.
things?
I am quite funny. I tell myself I do like a little bit of off the cuff quippy humor. I'm very sort of I would like to think I'm quick-witted. Some people might think I'm dim-witted, but I like to think I'm quick-witted. And I feel like that is a real plus. Like if people look at my Google reviews, they'll see that is a common denominator, is me just making something really fun. And that's what I really like to do, is to bring fun to it, as well as love. I'm very emotional. Like sometimes I cry when they walk in, because it's just really something beautiful. And every wedding is really special to me. And I don't think I've ever had a couple that I've not fell in love with. Like I really mean that sincerely. Like we love each other from the moment we connect on the phone or on Zoom or whatever. And if they don't like my style, then they won't get me. So I never worry. I just think, hey, this is it. Like, here we go. And most of the time, the people that choose you from your, your profile, wherever you've got it, are that like-minded people. So I can honestly say I've never had a really bad experience in any of my weddings, touch wood, where someone said to me, "Oh, that was rotten." That's
funny. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
Well, I think you sum it up really well. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there are others. I know that there's some couples that say, you know what, like that kind of humor and sort of lighthearted touch is really actually not what we're going for. We have family members who really needed to be a lot more reverent,
conservative, and
exactly. And that's okay too. Like, again, it's not a matter of offending us. It's just saying, great, like, that on that particular Saturday, there's going to be, at least, goodness, like, 20 to 30 weddings happening on one day.
And you tone it down if you have to.
And that too. It's that experience with that adaptability that I think is really key too, because at the end of the day, some are unable to, and that's okay. Like there are clear operators out there who only have one really experienced sort of ability, and that's great because they're masters at that track. But there are others who are a bit more sort of chameleons who can adapt, and so I think it's about having that conversation with people like yourself and I, and say, right, like, let's really tease it out. And I think also what's really important is making sure that, particularly for the MC stuff, that there is content on hand to show for what is your style and what you're capable of doing. Because I find that often, and this is what I encourage all my compatriots, both as DJ MCs, celebrant MCs, and MC onlys, I say, just get the camera out, just put it somewhere and film it and show people, because otherwise, it's challenging for couples to make a good choice.
Yeah, I haven't got any footage of myself doing that. That's a really good idea. I should definitely.
I want to see it. I challenge you. I want to see it, because I know that you're really experienced, and I love that you bring so much energy and excitement, and I want to be able to see it. And I'll be the first person to be like, oh my God, I'm so glad. Only just simply because I know that it adds to your repertoire, but also it allows for couples to really get a good sense of what they're. And I know that you're extraordinary experience, so I'm sure that it's going to come across as beautifully polished and very humorous at the same time. Because I want to hear your humor too. So.
Sometimes people don't want a lot of. I mean, this obviously at a reception. They say to me, "No, we don't want any games. No, we don't want this. We don't want that. We definitely just want the presentation." So that's what I do. But I find, like, if it's a bit dull, I go, hey, let's do something else now, So they just kind of play it by ear again, But I'm not a master at emceeing yet, but I'm getting better at it. I like
absolutely. Like I said, experience is the word of the week. So
I have to come and watch you one night.
Oh, it'd be a pleasure for you to. And I'd love for us to work together, and then you'd be more than welcome to stay. And I would love. I'm an open book, so I never.
Me too. That kind of thing. Too. Yeah, that's the same thing. I help people as much as I can, whenever I can. I have a lot of celebrants asking me for advice, and I just think, yeah, sure, here you go. And I say to them, good luck. Like, it's it's a tough world out there, but if you've got enough energy, you'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, Carla, I've got one more final question for you before I give you a couple of rapid fires and we wrap up. You've also, this is a bit of a different track though, but I love this because this is definitely something that I also have as part of my tool chest, is that you talk about the fact that you appreciate your style and you try to match the look of the couple and the theme and really try to blend, but also respect the themes and the colors that are going on. So tell me a bit about that and sort of why that's important to you and sort of how that actually plays out in the wedding itself.
Well, I think like brides go to such a lot of trouble to create a color that they really like. So that they've got 5 bridesmaids and they're all wearing this beautiful sage green dress, and I pop along in a bright red one. It's like it's just not. It's not. And I also think celebrants should be heard and not seen. Is kind of my theory with that. I feel like I should just blend in, and sure, I come out and I talk when I need to, but apart from that, out of the way, get out of the shot. You're not supposed to be in the middle. I hate seeing photos of celebrants stuck in the middle all the time. I try and move away when I can. It's hard sometimes. Maybe they've got a huge bridal party and you don't want to stand 100 meters away, so you've got to get in there. But I'm a big fan of blending in with the color and also the theme, as far as whether it's cocktail or elegant or whatever. But I never wear anything casual, never. Like I always feel that it's very important to look special on someone's wedding day. So I see some people are a little bit more casual than I am, and they'll wear like a flat shoe and a top notch and whatever, and that's fine, that's their vibe. I'm not rubbishing them, but for me personally, I really like to step it up on these days and look like someone who should be there and deserves to be representing these people. I mean,
well, I'm going to be honest with you, Carla. This is the rule. This is something that this is why I respect what you do so much with that, because and again, there are people out there who will disagree with me, and that's okay. This is a vibrant industry of different opinions. But from my cruise ship days, the biggest thing that I was taught, and then I would then, much later in my career, then go out and teach other people on my fellow colleagues in the industry. But what was taught was, you must always look better, one step better than the guests. And the reason for that is that you must be something that makes sense to be there. But you're absolutely correct. There's a little asterisk that I put when it comes to the wedding industry specifically, which is obviously, in my case, it's don't outshine the groom. And obviously in your case, it's don't outshine the bride. Beyond that, and the bridesmaids, I guess. But beyond that, there should be, I personally feel as though that you should expect from your celebrants and your MCs and your DJs, to be perfectly frank, that one extra step above. Yeah.
For sure. Because I mean, they write on the invitation, like cocktail wear, right? So then the celebrant rolls up in a pair of, chinos and a t-shirt. It's like, come on, that's not fair. Yeah,
I agree.
I think being an entertainer, obviously on the cruise ships, as I did a lot of years on cruise ships and TV and all that sort of stuff, I've always been like whipped. You have to look the best. You have to look great. So it's indoctrinated in your head to look to look like special on a special day, and I think that makes the people feel special too. They this is the officiant, oh wow, everything's going to be a bit more classy today than it normally is, so and I feel really proud of that, and I've seen you too, and you do dress immaculately, so it is the same sort of thing. It's just that kind of like pulling yourself into line and putting on a bit of makeup and brushing your hair. It's not hard, is it?
I know, right? A comb isn't too much to ask.
No,
Carla, look, almost out of time, but I'll ask you a couple of questions that we usually do at the end of the show, just to get you sort of a bit of a hot take on your feelings in the industry. So one question first is, what is the first thing, just one that immediately comes to mind about you believe as a top trend that is happening right now in 2025?
Minimal weddings. Smaller weddings, without a doubt. They are scaling down on size to probably 60 as opposed to 120, say 5 years ago. So that's my one trend, is that I don't think it'll stay forever. I think that people are just watching their pennies, because we're obviously in a bit of a state here in our economy. So I think people are just going, I'll just save on that, or I'll just cut down on so many people, and I can still have a really nice venue, but I won't have as many people there. So that's kind of what I think is the big trend for this year, for sure.
Yep, couldn't agree with you more. And what is your go-to karaoke song?
Dancing Queen.
Oh, nice. ABBA, yes.
Well, I was in an ABBA show for 20 years called Mamma Mia. So
I've heard of that show, actually. Yes.
I was in Netta, and I was the blonde one, and we used to do the show, and we're talking a Swedish bad accent. It becomes quite naturally.
Wow, there you go. Yeah, well, that totally makes sense. I think you would absolutely nail it and bring the house down at any karaoke house. Carla, how do people find about you, see you online, book you, get you to sing Dancing Queen at their wedding, all that good stuff?
That's nice. Look, I'm very high on the Easy Wedding site, because I think it's very important to stay up in the top spotlight pics they have, sort of thing. So I
Yeah.
stay up there because I've been with them since the beginning, and they have never let me down. Easy Weddings is an incredible site to be on. At some people, it's a go-to thing when people want everything. So that's Easy Weddings. You'll find me on the spotlight. I obviously have a website, which is just my name, carladavern.com.au, and Lovesick Weddings has me featured on there as well as the celebrant for them. So that's my main sort of. I don't really advertise anywhere else, but it's fun and it's great. And word of mouth, obviously. If you do a good job, the next guy gets you, which is really nice. And I've done whole families. Have you done whole families? When you get
definitely.
There's like 5 sisters and sort of
like a sort of a dynastic sort of style where you go, I'll see the next one kind of thing. Yeah.
And you sort of think, better not say the same words I said last time. So
you do have to be aware of that. Or if people recognize you. I've had one where there's this one gentleman who actually was seeing me at corporate events as well. And so it was kind of wild. He just happened to always be in the random place, like, I see you again. And I'm like, who are you? Like, how do you know all these different things? Like, it was almost bizarre, but yes, you're not wrong. You definitely have to be like, okay, hang on. They heard those other things the first time, so I definitely have to mix it up. I mean, I do anyways. Sure
was I wearing this dress last time? You got to kind of change it up.
Yep, that too. Well, Carla, thank you so much for being an energy, a beacon of happiness, and for being a master at your craft, and also for being such a pioneer in the industry. I look forward to the next time we either bump into each other socially or, of course, working together again. And I wish you all the best for the upcoming season.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for having me on this incredible show that you've planned. I did just as planned. And I think that it's so fortuitous of you, and so you're thinking ahead and giving people a platform to be able to talk about their business. So good on you.
Thanks. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Just As Planned Wedding Podcast. Please like and subscribe to let me know that you want more videos just like this one. And of course, please follow us on our socials at Just As Planned Wedding on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more expert insights to help your wedding go just as planned.